we are living with vast numbers of Muslims in all parts of the world. And people who are coming into Islam, or people who are returning to Islam, ask themselves, what is happening in the Muslim world? Those of us who have traveled in the Muslim world, those of us who have come from the Muslim world, reflect on your country, reflect on the practice, and reflect upon what we are carrying. Are we to follow the practice of our country blindly, without checking to see, is this the Sunnah? Is this from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If we do, we may find ourselves in the same state as the other individuals in our Muslim world, large numbers, but ghutha as-sayl, weak, like the foam on the top of the stream, pushed to the right side, pushed to the left side, of no consequence. If a strong wave comes, it goes under the water. It has no direction. It is carried along by other forces. One of the problems that we are facing, and we have to face it directly, is not necessarily the problem of those Muslims in the Muslim world who are not practicing Islam. But it is also a problem for those Muslims who are practicing, those who are forming organizations, those who are claiming to have the leadership in the Muslim world. We have to remember the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, what Allah told us, that we are humble to each other and that we are strong and mighty on the disbelievers. This is a critical characteristic that we should take into our hearts. Muslim organizations spending time cursing other Muslim organizations, attacking Muslims who lose their lives. If anybody in the Muslim world stands up for jihad, if anybody in the Muslim world purifies themselves, makes their salah, and then strives in the path of Allah, then we should help them to correct themselves and not curse them and not try to destroy them. Otherwise, we are falling into an extreme, al-ghulu. And the Prophet had told us, Iyakum wal-ghulu. Beware of extremism. Beware of feeling that you're the only one who's correct and everybody else is wrong. And a group of the people in the time of the Sahaba, radiallahu anhu, went out into this ghulu. And they are the perfect example for us. And the stories are bitter stories. But if we do not hear these stories, we may never change. It is not enough to be making salah. It is not enough to be paying zakat. It is not enough to think that you follow the book. What is your relationship with other Muslims? Muslims have haqq on each other. And one of the rights is we do not spill the blood of another Muslim. We do not dishonor another Muslim. In the time of the Sahaba, radiallahu anhum, a group of people who were prophesied by the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam went outside of the Sahaba. They turned against Ali. They turned against Muawiyah. They turned against Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhum. They turned against Abdullah ibn Zubayr. They turned against everybody. And they were taken over by the evil one. What was the problem they were put in? How were they confused? One of these groups was described as traveling along a road. And when they came to a stream, they found Abdullah ibn Khabbab radiallahu anhu. He is the son of a famous Sahabi. His father Khabbab radiallahu anhu was one of the first people to accept Islam. Tortured for Islam, spilled his blood for Islam, and gave over his knowledge to his son. And they came to him. And they said to him, "You are Abdullah ibn Khabbab?" And he said yes. And they said, "Tell us something from your father." And then he said, "My father told me that if fitna comes, if there's a trial and chaos, and Muslims are fighting each other, then you should be like the innocent son of Adam alayhi salam. Do not raise your hand against another Muslim." And so they listened to this hadith And they took him down to a stream and they chopped off his head. And then they continued on the road, and one of their followers saw a pig, khinzir, and he wanted to test his sharpened sword. And so he killed the pig. And the other one came to him and said, did you pay the owner for that pig? Did you get permission to kill that person's pig? And the man said no. And so they said, you go to the owner and you pay him for his pig. And so they were following their faith. They were following their faith. After taking the blood of a sahabi, or a tabi'i, son of a sahabi, then they fulfill the rights of the property of other people. And when Ali ibn Abi Talib karramallahu wajhah found out about the death of Abdullah, he sent a detachment to them to straighten them out. And the leader of the detachment said, who killed Abdullah? And they said, we all killed him. And then they were attacked by the believers, and they were killed almost to the last man. And as they were dying, they said to each other, prepare for Jannah. Prepare for paradise, because surely you have earned your place in paradise. This is insanity. It is insanity. And it has spread in the Muslim world. Not from the outside, but from the inside. Following the evil one. Thinking that you are following the Prophet ﷺ, but it's only the word on your lips, and not practicing what it is that he really did. And so we have to consider this now. If we are remembering the birthday of the Prophet ﷺ, number one, we should realize none of the historians are totally sure that it is the 12th of Rabiul Awwal. Some say the 9th, some say 14th, some say 7th. There is no definite proof as to which day it is. And we must remember that Allah says, if you love me, then you should follow the Prophet ﷺ. So if we want to remember him on that day or any day, then we should remember him on every day of our life. Dhikrullah should stay on our tongues. Not the word of the disbelievers. Not curse words coming out of our mouth thinking that we are Canadian or we are American with curse words coming out of our mouth. But it should be the remembrance of Allah. That is what should be on our lips all times during the day. And before we go to our beds, we should read Ayatul Kursi. Because something is upon this ummah. And if we do not make a change quickly in our practice, and it is all Muslims, then we are facing calamity, serious calamity.